Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Agoura Hills Planning Commission meeting. Please silence all cell phones and other electronic devices. If you wish to speak or submit a written comment, please complete a comment card for each item and submit to the city clerk prior to the public comment portion of the item. Someone called me to order, and I'll defer to Commissioner Roth to lead us in the pledge. Thank you. Now I could defer to City Clerk Kimberly Rodriguez for the roll call.
Good evening. Let the record reflect that Commissioner Reinhardt is absent. Commissioner Roth?
Here.
Commissioner Sharon?
Here.
Vice Chair Anderson?
Here.
Chair Ascension?
Present.
Chair Ascension, you have a quorum.
Okay, I'm gonna go slightly off script here. I'm assuming that Commissioner Reinhardt is gonna request an excused absence. Do I have a motion and a second for the excused absence?
So moved.
Or,
Oh.
Chair, since it's possible she may still come, should we hold off on that?
I will defer to council.
Yeah, let's hold off.
Okay, we could do that. I'm totally cool with that. Okay, so moving right along, we'll go to the approval of the agenda. And I trust everybody's looked at the agenda, so I'm gonna ask the maker of the motion and second to approve the agenda to state your names.
Commissioner Roth moves to approve tonight's agenda.
Vice Chair Anderson, seconds.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and I'll defer to Kimberly for the roll call.
Commissioner Roth?
Aye.
Commissioner Sharon?
Aye.
Vice Chair Anderson?
Aye.
Chair Ascension?
Aye.
Chair Ascension, you have approval 4-0.
Thank you very much. Moving right along to public comments. This section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items not listed on the agenda that are under the subject matter jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. So you have something to distribute to the Planning Commission, please hand to our city clerk and do not approach the dais. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and the speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. Persons addressing the Planning Commission shall not engage in disorderly conduct that disrupts or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting. I will now defer to the city clerk.
Thank you, Chair Ascension. No written public comments have been received and no speaker cards have been submitted.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving along to our next item, the public hearing. Our next item is to conduct a public hearing to consider an appeal of the Community Development Director's decision regarding specialty stores in the Agoura Village Specific Plan area. I will now open the public hearing and defer to Principal Planner Robbie Nesser for the staff presentation. The case number is APPC-2024-001. And Robbie, take it away.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members of the Planning Commission. I am going to hand it off to Valerie Darbouze, our Associate Planner, who's going to give you a presentation this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Chair Ascension, thank you. As you mentioned, tonight, the case is an appeal of the Community Development Director's decision letter sent to the applicant in December last year. It was related to a land use decision for a particular business located at 5019 Canaan Road, which is one of the properties in the Agoura Village specific plan area. So as background, the new rugs and furniture requested a business license to operate a rug and furniture store in August of last year. When checking against the AVSP land use table, furniture stores are not listed as an allowable use. What are listed are specialty retail stores and home decorators shops. Staff worked with the applicant to issue a business license for a rug store, which was consistent with staff's interpretation of a specialty retail store, as the director was unable to make findings for the operation of a furniture store within the Agoura Village specific plan. Once the business license was issued and the business owner moved into the store, the applicant renewed their request to operate a furniture store against staff's recommendations. The applicant decided to submit an appeal application to the Planning Commission as a result. During the review of the PCI case, it became evident to staff that pursuant to Chapter 9 of the Agoura Village Specific Plan, the Community Development Director would be the final decision maker after making written findings as to whether the applicant could operate a furniture store. A decision letter was sent to the applicant in December stating that a furniture store was not allowed within the specific plan, which was supported by the findings in Chapter 9. This process gave the ability to the applicant to appeal the director's decision. Per the appeal application, the applicant is asking the Planning Commission to reverse the director's decision based on 2 grounds, which are shown on the screen. The first is that there would be only a limited number of accompanying home furnishings. And the second is that there would be only a limited number of accompanying home furnishing, and as such, new rugs and furniture should be classified as both a home decorator shop and a specialty retail store, which would be consistent with the AVSP vision. Staff does agree with these 2 statements. However, the applicant's original description of the business defined the business as a rug and furniture store. The director's decision was specifically disallowed the applicant from operating a furniture store as the business primary use. Since the director issued her interpretation, the applicant described the business the applicant's description of the business changed. If the applicant submitted a revised business description to the city, the business license could be updated and the business could offer a limited number of home furnishings. It is also worth noting that furniture stores were a defined use in the Agoura Hills Municipal Code at the time when the Agoura Village Specific Plan was created, and furniture stores have been allowed outside of the Agoura Village Specific Plan. As such, we can infer that the intention of the specific plan was specifically not to allow furniture stores, because the use is not listed in the table. So the Planning Commission would have 2 options. The first one would be to uphold the director's decision and reject the applicant's appeal by resolution. The applicant would still be able to submit a revised business license application to the Community Development Department, clarifying the type and extent of home furnishings to be sold on the premises. Or the second option is to overturn the director's decision, which would essentially categorize furniture stores as similar and compatible uses to specialty retail stores and/or home decorators shops. In this instance, the applicant's business license would be updated to allow the sale of both rugs and furniture. To overturn the director's decision and to classify a furniture store as similar and compatible to a specialty store, retail store, and a home decorator shop, the Planning Commission would be required to make the finding displayed on the screen and provided in your staff report. Either option would require staff to prepare a resolution in favor of either decision and present it to the Planning Commission for adoption at a future public hearing, incorporating all the findings that are made tonight. And that concludes my presentation. I'm here to answer any questions, as are the applicants. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie, for that report. Any questions from any of my commissioners for staff?
Valerie, yeah, just one question. You said this in your presentation, which was very clear and super, super helpful, but just to double click on it, as I've heard folks say, what I believe I heard you say is that if the applicant revised their business license, clarifying the type of items that they wanted to sell that is consistent with that appeal letter, we would be able to make the findings and allow that business license. Thank you.
Commissioner Roth.
Thank you. If I may follow up on that, if that is the case and the applicant were to reapply with a clear kind of statement on the intended purpose of the business, what would the threshold of kind of furniture use look like before we would start to enter into what was denied by the community development director?
Well, the applicant gave us some ideas of the type of items that he would be interested in selling, but it would be accessory type of items that would not be the primary use of the business.
And just to follow up on that a little bit too, it would be required to be a fairly small percentage, maybe 10 to 20% of what's being sold in the store.
And do we, and perhaps this is a question for the applicant, do we know, like, is there a specific vision for what that 10 to 20% should they reapply, like, look like? Is it to have a mock-up of a living room and there's like some small pieces, or what would that look like? How would that be displayed?
Ultimately, I mean, we're not going to tell them what to submit, right? They would submit their own description of the business, and as long as it, in the decision of the director, meets the intent of a specialty retail store, if they're offering a limited number of home furnishings, just as the appeal application suggests, then that we would be able to make the findings to support that it is in fact a specialty retail store.
Thanks.
Any other questions for staff? I have two questions. I should know this, and I forgot. Valerie, the latest version of the AVSP was just several years ago, correct?
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
The latest version of the Agoura Village Specific Plan, that was several years ago, correct?
I believe it was 2008.
Okay, 2000, all right, more than that. And then there's nothing in the AVSP that says the percentage, if you want to do furniture, it has to be 10%, 20%. There's nothing that specifies that at all.
No, there's no specific standards. It would be Denise's determination on whether a certain percentage or whatever site plan or description that they submit, whether or not it's, accessory or a primary use for the property. So.
Okay. So it seems to me this case is all about intent. Reading it, I'll show my cards. So it's all about the intent. I don't think the intent was, okay, we want to have a Levitt's per se or Wicks furniture. That's not the intent. But this is not going to be Levitt's or Wicks either. So is it somewhere in between? Are we going to go with a strict interpretation, no furniture period? Or is it, well, it's not Levitt's. So that's the issue at hand as I see it. But I'm interested to hear what the applicant has to say and the other commissioners have to say on that issue before we render a decision here. So thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Any commissioners have any questions of staff? Any commissioners have any ex parte communication to disclose?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I did visit the location just to kind of see what kind of business it was, size of the business. I did not enter, though,
Okay. Thank
or
you.
communicate with anyone.
Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Same here, I drove by.
Okay. Thank you. You all are so good. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so the public hearing is open. I'll now defer to the applicant. You and your representative have a total of 15 minutes for your presentation. Please adjust the microphone and watch for the red light on the podium. The city clerk will let you know when 1 minute remains on the timer, so you may wrap up your comments. So if the applicant's ready? Yes. Okay.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners, Assistant City Attorney. My name is Katie Blanca. I am counsel for Cannon Properties West LLC and New Rugs and Furniture. With me this evening is Kelly McNamara, the property manager at Cannon Properties. Kelly has been with Cannon Properties for about 2.5 years. We have Jack Dwyer, who I think some of you may have met once or twice. He is a senior vice president at NAI Capital, and he's worked with Cannon Properties for the last 40 years. And then Mr. Sean Pazuki, the owner of New Rugs and Furniture, and he's been operating his boutique at Cannon Village since October of last year. And I know Valerie went into this, but why we're here? We are here so that Mr. Pazuki can get the license he needs to run the store that he had planned using a business model that fits, really quite squarely into the permissible uses outlined by the AVSP. This is a locally owned and operated boutique selling high-quality decorative rugs. And the idea is that some of them would be displayed under a small number of furniture items, which would then also be for sale. This, and we do apologize for any confusion here. This has been his intended business model really from the beginning. His intended use hasn't changed. The idea that we're looking at is truly a store that is primarily rugs, and let's say you have, a table with a lamp on it and the rug is underneath it, and somebody really likes the look of all of that, they can buy both of them. That's really what we're going for here. And really based on Valerie's presentation and staff's reply, we think we're really most of the way there already. Mr. Pazuki already has a business license to sell rugs. Looking at staff's reply paper from February, they do say with the applicant's current representation of the proposed business model as described in the appeal letter, the director would be able to classify the use as a specialty store, which is consistent with the intent of the AVSP. So we think that's all really well and good. We're appealing this so sorry about that. So we think that that's a great start. I had called staff yesterday to confirm this and ask what we needed to do to proceed. Frankly, I wasn't quite sure if we needed to proceed with this appeal, if we were in agreement. But when I made that phone call yesterday, we were told that we should proceed with the appeal, that at this point we can't withdraw it, and that they wanted some more detail on exactly what Mr. Pazuki intends to sell. So with that, we are fully prepared and happy to proceed tonight. And Mr. Pazuki confirmed with us yesterday, again, his business model is to have a small number of lamps, tables, dressers on display on top of the rugs that would also be for sale. I know a few of the commissioners had said that they walked by or drove by the store but didn't go in. I did want to pass out photos of what the store looks like.
That's fine.
Okay. And this is really just to give you an idea. This store is primarily rugs. There is really not a lot of room in here for a whole lot of furniture items in any event. And so our initial position is if staff can commit to issuing a business license to Mr. Pazuki with our description in the appeal, that we no longer have a live issue for appeal. If, however, the commission needs to render a ruling, here's our position on that. Staff has framed this issue as whether or not furniture stores are permissible under the AVSP. We don't think the commission needs to make a ruling as to whether a furniture store writ large is permissible under the AVSP. We are truly asking for a business license that would permit New Rugs and Furniture to sell home furnishings as complements to the rugs already for sale as either a specialty store or a home decorator shop. We haven't asked for a ruling and are not taking a position on whether all furniture stores would or should be permissible under the AVSP. We understand perfectly well that something along the lines of an IKEA or a Living Spaces is not what we're going for in the AVSP. That's not what we want, so we don't really think something like that is relevant here. To the extent we wanted to create or clarify a rule, we think it would be something closer to selling a limited number of home furnishings wouldn't disqualify you from being a specialty store or a home decorator shop. And this rule would comport really well with the realities of the shops that are in the AVSP already. I drove by and walked around the Wizen Market Square just today and went into two stores, Chandelier and Tulips, and Backyard Sanctuary. These are stores that are selling, not small pieces of furniture. They're selling large tables, chairs, credenzas, couches. And we confirmed with them these are stores that opened, after the enactment of the AVSP. Those stores seem like they're doing really well. We don't see New Rugs and Furniture as having, really a meaningfully different percentage of furniture versus non-furniture, as opposed to stores like that. We also have the position that New Rugs and Furniture is a specialty store or a home decorator shop, and so we don't think the commission would need to make the 4 findings listed on page 9-121 of the AVSP, the 4 findings that you would need to do if you find that New Rugs and Furniture is not part of the enumerated list. But if that is an avenue that you determine you should pursue, we really think we meet all of those as well. For that, I'd really like to start with the second finding first, which is that the candidate uses will be consistent with the purpose and the vision of the applicable subdistrict. And for that finding, staff highlighted language that said that Subzone D was envisioned to contain a broad range of uses and activities, including specialty retail, lifestyle entertainment, offices, commercial services, restaurants, and movie theaters. For all intents and purposes, and again, looking back to the staff's report on page 3, looks like there's pretty clear agreement that Mr. Pizzuki's intended business model is that of a specialty store, but we do think it's worth dwelling here for a minute. This quote is from page 438 of the AVSP, and that applies to really all of the sub-districts and not just Zone D. And on that same page in the first paragraph is language that we think is perhaps even more salient to our current reality, and that the goal is to, quote, ensure that a destination quality environment evolves with the critical mass of uses necessary to attract people and remain economically viable. And really that's at the heart of what we're doing here. Before Mr. Pizzuki, his unit and several others at Cannon Village had been vacant for years in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Just within the last year, the Islands, that is sort of adjacent to Cannon Properties, that's closed. That's left a very large vacancy in the area as well. And unfortunately, that has led to some realities and issues relating to homelessness, to graffiti, to robberies. And these are issues that we and our tenants strongly believe are exacerbated by vacancies. And just to kind of illustrate some of what we've been experiencing at Cannon Village, we have some photos of a recent robbery and some of the graffiti that's been at issue. And Mr. Pizzuki's unit in particular had been vacant for years. We also want to show you what that looked like before he moved in. As you can see, just the nature of an area being vacant for a while, it attracts people who want to, unfortunately overstay their welcome. We know that homelessness issues are, they're unfortunate. They impact places far beyond Cannon Village, but it is a reality, and it makes it really hard to fill spaces, to remain economically viable, to be a place where people want to come. And we're also proud to show you, now that Mr. Pizzuki has moved in, here's what the front of his unit looks like now. Some of you may not need to see this photo because you just drove by and saw it today. And so surely, a small store that's selling a limited number of furniture items in addition to decorative rugs is getting us a lot closer to the purpose and the vision of the village than does the empty unit that Mr. Pizzuki replaced. So going back to the first finding, which is the characteristics and activities associated with the candidate uses are similar to one or more of the allowed uses and will not involve substantially greater intensity than the uses listed for that subdistrict. So similar to one or more of the allowed uses, again, I would refer back to the staff's report on page 3 with the agreement that the description of Mr. Pazuki's business as stated in the appeal qualifies as a specialty store. We also think it would qualify as a home decorator store, or if not, be similar enough to it for the purpose of this finding. As to whether the store would involve a greater intensity than the uses listed for subzone D, it's frankly a little hard to see how the intensity would be greater than some of the already permissible uses. For example, seeing a table with a rug underneath it and buying them both, it's hard to see how that's more intensive than buying a TV from an electronics store, which under the AVSP would be permitted, or an antique coffee table at an antique store, or even buying a tuba from a music store, a mountain bike from a bike store. And with that, we go to the third finding, which is the candidate uses will be otherwise consistent with the intent of the specific plan. And staff here points out the language that the vision is of a pedestrian-oriented village environment and provide for a narrow selection of goods and services within a relatively small footprint. Taking that piece by piece, people love walking around and looking at rugs and home decor and associated furniture items. If you go into pretty much any of the walkable downtowns in California, I can't think of any that doesn't have stores with some pieces of furniture in it somewhere in that walkable downtown area. That's just not everybody, but something that a lot of people really enjoy looking around, doing, and buying. The selection of goods is narrow. It really is just rugs, which are already allowed, and a truly limited number of furniture items. And then within a relatively small footprint, the store is 1,500 square feet. That seems to fit that really well. And then we're in line with stores that seem to be doing really well in this district already. And again, looking back at something like a Chandelier and Tulips or a Backyard Sanctuary. And then finally, the fourth finding, the candidate uses will be compatible with the other uses listed for this district. Mr. Pazuki's store is highly compatible with the many other uses permitted in the district. There are already stores that are selling furniture. Not a lot are selling rugs, so that's really a great complement to what's already on offer. If we think about people wanting to appoint their home more broadly, it could be compatible with an art gallery. Do you want the art on your wall to match your rug, to match your furniture, to match the other odds and ends that you can pick up in the various stores in the AVSP or an antique store? Do you want a mix of old vintage furnishings and new furnishings?
1 minute.
Sorry? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Bigger picture, Cannon Properties is aligned with the city's goals and with the AVSP. We truly think we are on the same page here. We want the same thing. We want a healthy center with lots of patrons enjoying the shops, enjoying each other in a village-like atmosphere. We want people walking around, going from store to store. Cannon Properties has been under new management for the past 2.5 years and has been working hard to improve Cannon Village. We're filling vacancies. We're adding, drought-tolerant landscaping. They've improved trash service. They've increased graffiti removal. They've been working with the homeless, outreach coordinator to, humanely, work with just the realities of homelessness in our area. We want to work with the city, not against you, to make our center the best it can be. And so the best way forward that we think for Cannon Properties, for Mr. Pazuki, for the city, is to classify Mr. Pazuki's boutique as either a specialty store or home decoration furnishings to accompany the already permitted sale of rugs. Thank you.
Thank you very much for a very thorough presentation. No, I really do appreciate it. Thank you. Before we move on to public comments, does any commissioner have any questions of the applicant? Vice Chair Anderson.
Thank you. That was fantastic. You did a great job and well timed. You got it right under the red. And your arguments really are compelling. In fact, so compelling. I'll do the same thing that I did with Valerie. It sounds like, and this is kind of wonderful, we're all in wild agreement here. We all agree that the really well presented letter, the appeal that you put together, that you then reflected, actually absolutely represents what we would want in Agoura Village. And so I, as you know, commissioner, can say what you just described, and that I love the idea of appointing your house and somebody being able to walk in, and I promise there is a question coming, somebody being able to walk in and look at a rug and then be able to buy the lamp on top. So I think what I hear our city planning department, and Valerie confirmed this, say is they agree with you. And so that if you resubmit the business license, you would then fall under, as your argument shows. So I guess my question is, are you guys open to then just resubmitting a business license? Or I'm sorry, resubmitting, you know what I mean? Like, what is, yes, revising your business license, clarifying the type to reflect your beautiful writing.
Absolutely. I will say we will be really disappointed if we get rejected.
Yeah, we would be too. After I from the DIA asked the planning department and they said yes.
It's been a journey to get in front of you here this evening, so we will be very disappointed if we get rejected.
It's a delight to have you here. And I now know more about this furniture store, not this furniture store, this specialty boutique home decor store. Okay, that was my only question.
But yes, we are happy to do that.
Commissioner Roth.
Yeah, echo everything my fellow commissioner had just said. Obviously, fantastic presentation. Seems like maybe the outcome might be, but positive for everyone this evening. So I'm glad to see that. But just a quick question: if like there's a dresser, someone comes in and purchases it, is the dresser leaving the front of the store or is it going out the back? I believe there's like an alleyway behind the business property. Is that like what's the intended, path for like a bigger item that might be in the store when it eventually gets purchased?
I think we're open to discussion on that point.
Yeah, would it be the back? Okay. So it wouldn't necessarily conflict with the pedestrian-oriented access of...
No, we don't believe so. I think we've got a good deal of flexibility there, and it sounds like we're happy to take large pieces of furniture out the back. That's probably easier for somebody picking it up too, because there's like an egress out the back. There's kind of a back alley.
Yeah, right.
I would imagine that's what people are going to want to do anyway.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Okay. Let's see. I'll now defer to the city clerk for any public comments. If you have something to distribute to the planning commission, please hand it to the city clerk and do not approach the dais. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and a speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. So, Kimberly, do we have any public speakers?
We do not.
Do not. Okay, so it's kind of redundant, but now defer back to the applicant. You have 5 minutes for rebuttal. If you have anything you wish to add.
No, we don't need any rebuttal time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So before I close the public hearing, does any commissioner have any further questions of the applicant or staff? Good.
Valerie, so if the applicant resubmits or amends their application, or what is the timeline that they will have to operate their business? Like, how long will it take for them to get up and running under the new business license that they submit?
Our process is very simple and very quick. So
Okay.
as soon as they submitted a request, we would update the license on the system and issue a license, or make any correction if necessary to the certificate. So that process is very, very quick.
Okay.
As far as the applicant to bring furniture and organize, that's up to them.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff or the applicant? Okay, there being no further questions, I'll now close the public hearing. And now we'll move on to deliberations. Let's start with Commissioner Sharon.
Thank you for that presentation. It was very clear, and I really appreciated the photos and the time you took to deliver it to us, so thank you so much. What I've gathered from all this is that I feel like there's just a little bit of a miscommunication, I think, and I don't want to see vacancies in our town. I don't want to see vacancies when there is a willing and able person, entrepreneur that wants to open a business, and I want your business to succeed. And so, I've gathered that it's really semantics in words. You know, I think that, what, should I don't want to like allude to my determination, but I think it's clear. You know, I think that what needs to happen is really an amended business license or a new business license where you clarify that it's a rug shop with specialty items. And and it's not because we want to make your life harder and do all this extra work, but it's in case we want to protect the Agoura Village vision. And I don't want to see us bend rules here and there, and then we've set a precedent for future tenants in other areas of the village. And so, you know, I'm really clear on the intention of your business. I think we're all in alignment with that, and I'm hoping it's a very easy decision for all of us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Schroen. Commissioner Roth.
Sure. I'm going to echo almost nearly everything that you said. My biggest concern in this endeavor tonight and going through the staff report and reading all the appeals and everything and the back and forth has just been kind of that precedent setting, you know, kind of slippery slope of what can become if we go back and revise the allowable use for something that the original vision for the AVSP wasn't, you know, set to allow for. So it seems like, and without showing too many cards either, we're going to get to an outcome. I'm going to be slightly confused when we get to that eventuality, because it's like, are we agreeing with the community development director in the denial? But then, you know, so we'll work that out here in a moment maybe. But you know, I echo everything, and yeah, I think anything to help our businesses and our community thrive is absolutely, I think all of us in alignment, is something we all endorse and support. So you know, I think staff has done a great job. I think being here tonight and presenting everything was an endeavor on your behalf, so I appreciate it. And you guys believe in it and believe in Agoura, so I'm glad that we're going to get to hopefully a good outcome here tonight.
Thank you. Vice Chair Anderson.
So this is fantastic, and I agree with Commissioner Schroen and Commissioner Roth, and I believe the path forward, and to go ahead and show my cards, is, and I intend to, when the time comes, make a motion to uphold the director's decision and reject the applicant's appeal by resolution. And that's because, as they were saying, the original application wasn't as clear as your appeal was, and to accept the original application would be to open up the doors. So the path forward, and I was so grateful. I was pretty sure, based on your on your presentation and how you started with, we are here so that we can get a license that you need. And knowing that you'd be able to get that license, I was thrilled to hear that you are more than willing to submit a revised application. I was thrilled to hear, thank you for that question, that it'll be lickety-split. Now, I happen to work in the county of LA, so I know bureaucracy's lickety-split doesn't necessarily mean lickety-split, but I think here in Agoura Hills, lickety-split means lickety-split. So that is probably, that is a way that you guys can get up and running and then get your specialty furniture, your home decor in there as soon as possible.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair Anderson. Thank you for Commissioner comments. Nice thing about being chair, you get to listen to everybody's comments before you get to make comments or deliberations. I agree with my commissioners here. Just trying to think of what's the most efficient way to get us to go forward. I think Vice Chair Anderson hit on it. I think that's the most efficient way to go forward. So when we're saying uphold the community development decision, that's probably the most, as Vice Chair Anderson proposed, that's probably the most efficient way to get this thing moving along. So I'm okay with that. That makes sense to me. My question is this for staff, not just thinking about, do we need to revise the AVSP about furniture stores, or what's the take on that? I mean, this may not be the first time this comes down the road here.
No.
No, I'm sorry, I'm not staff. You know, we have a furniture corridor. You know, we have big box stores in Agoura.
Right.
You know, I want a specialty store. I don't, you know, our applicant doesn't need to have potential competition down the road because we allow furniture stores in that are big box and selling, you know, rugs in addition to other things. So I think that, I think rugs is a specialty. Just as if I was going to a foot doctor, like a podiatrist, it is a specialty. He is specializing in rugs, and so I think it is a specialty store.
No, I agree. I
Yeah.
mean, I just don't want this to come down the road, because
Yeah.
I agree we have a furniture store corridor in the city, I
Yeah.
get that. I just don't want this to come down again, oh, AVSP, we don't allow furniture, but we allowed this, I mean, then we're addressing this issue again. I'd rather not address this issue again, so, but from what I'm hearing, we don't need to amend the language or anything like that?
I would just ask that, since we need to formalize this decision tonight, we'll come back with a resolution with findings.
Okay,
So if you're in agreement with the findings from the director, we could move forward with those. If you want to state on the record some findings that we could take to prepare the resolution for next time, we could do that as well.
Okay.
So the decision would be upheld, the decision not to sell furniture, but to allow indirectly, it would allow the applicant to continue his business with rugs and accessory furniture items, small accessory items.
just to clarify, I'm trying to do do two things at one time, go forward with this, and also try to prevent this from coming down the road again. That's all I'm trying to prevent. So, okay, thank you. Appreciate that. So I'll now call for a motion and a second.
Oh, I am still on. Okay. So Vice Chair Anderson moves to uphold the director's decision, reject the applicant's appeal by resolution. I think that's all we need, right?
Commissioner Sharon seconds.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and so I'll defer to the city clerk for roll call vote.
Commissioner Roth?
Aye.
Commissioner Sharon?
Aye.
Vice Chair Anderson?
Aye.
Chair Ascension?
Aye.
Chair Ascension, you have approval 4-0.
Thank you. So, Robert, do you need to announce anything or no? No? Okay, very good. So I think we decided what we're going to do here. I think we have a path forward, so that's going to be good for you all. So, very good. Okay, we're going to move to the next agenda item, the selection of Planning Commission Chair and Vice Chair, which we were supposed to do last time, but we only had 4 people, and unfortunately, we only have 4 people again, so for the same rationale, I'd move to, if we could defer that to the next Planning Commission meeting, if that's okay with everybody.
So moved.
Also moved.
Commissioner Roth seconds.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to move this to the next Planning Commission meeting. Okay.
Nobody's allowed to come down.
We did that years ago. Kate remembers when during the height of COVID, we were doing all our meetings by Zoom. That's right. So we could do that if not, hopefully not necessary, but if we had to, we have to. I get that. Okay, now we're going to move to commission staff comments. Any comments from staff?
Staff has no comments.
Thank you very much. Okay, any comments from the planning commission?
I'd like to make a comment.
Go.
I just want, so I feel like that last bit moved really fast. And so I hope you guys aren't discouraged by our decision. And we want to see you apply with a business license as a specialty store and with all the recommendations that we gave. And according to staff, it seems like the issuing of that license will be in a speedy route. And so I don't want you to be discouraged by our decision, and we want to see you thrive, and we want to see that your business open and selling small accessories that complement your rugs. And so I want to make sure that that is clear and that you're left knowing that. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask staff. And we're here to support you as a.
If you have Valerie's email address, you can just send her an email. If you have her phone number, just give her a call. And we also have our online business license portal as well. So she can let you know after the meeting what's the best way to submit to her.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments? Commissioner Roth.
Yeah, I was just going to make a plug for the fire station around the corner from my house on Canwood. Has a bunch of sand and sandbags. So with this weekend, I know we have some folks who live in Old Agoura or other places where water might rise. So if you need sand and sandbags, go get it. It's free. It's out there. Bring a shovel.
Thank you. Thank you for those good words of advice. Any other comments from any of the commissioners? Okay. Oh, yes, go ahead.
I forgot one thing. We do have a public forum on Saturday for housing site F in Old Agoura. It is on the corner of Kolodny and Driver Avenue. If anybody would like to join us, it's from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Thank you. Thank you for the reminder of that. Okay.
With that, is there any, like, do we have to make any Brown Act notice or anything if a number of us do come?
I'll have to review what exactly it is, but I think, were we noticing the meeting? I think we are, right? Yeah, yeah. We'll look into it. Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Okay. My only comment is I want to thank the applicant for coming out tonight. Thank you very much. I also want to thank staff for the excellent work, as always. We really appreciate it. Travis, I know you're coming from a wide ways to get out here, so thank you again, Travis. Really appreciate you coming out here and helping us out here. It's much appreciated. So with that, the next regular Planning Commission meeting is scheduled for 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, February 15, the day after Valentine's Day, in the Council Chambers of the Civic Center, located at 30001 Ladyface Court, Agoura Hills, California. I need a motion and a second for adjournment.
Chair Ascension, there's no motion and second.
No more?
Just adjournment.
Hold on a second, let's go back. I move that if Commissioner Reinhardt lets us know her reason for absence tonight, that we have an excused absence for Commissioner Reinhardt.
As long as there's no issue with that from the attorney's perspective, I'll second that.
I think that should be fine. An alternative is we can discuss that at the next meeting. It's up to you.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion and second. Do we need to vote on that? I have no issue with that at all.
Yeah, let's do a voice vote just to
Okay.
button it up.
Okay.
Commissioner Roth,
Aye.
Commissioner Sharon,
Aye.
Vice Chair Anderson,
Aye.
Chair Ascension.
Aye.
Chair Ascension, you have approval 4-0.
Okay, so with that, the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.